I find Mike interesting. I find Kev interesting. But if Mike thought Mike was interesting, I might cease to think Mike was interesting.
Yes.
Hello and welcome to Grumpy Old Men. We are, as ever, grumpy, and my usual grumpy cohorts of Kev and Mike are here to be grumpy with us all. So let's get grumpy. Mike.
Yes. I mean, a lot of our grumps seem to revolve around drink.
Well, you.
And hospitality.
Yes, you.
I was in a pub recently, and it's happened to me before, around these parts of where we work in London Bridge. I had it once in a pub in Waterloo. And, you know, I've been going to pubs for a very long time, and I very much like going up to the bar. Quite often I like standing at the bar. Order a drink, stand there, chat to whoever
Seems
it is
perfectly
I'm with,
normal to me.
Which sounds like what we all used to do in pubs, right? Now, as a result of something I've complained about before, COVID, some youngsters think that the thing to do is to queue up one behind the other at a bar, right? Instead of forming a sort of big long snake that goes out the pub door, instead of just going to the front of the bar, right? They actually they stand behind each other in a queue.
Yeah, they do a queue.
Have you not seen
line,
this?
Yeah.
But isn't that surely that's just a COVID hangover?
Yes.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
it's
Like so many
it's
things,
because
it ain't
these,
going.
but because these bozos didn't drink before COVID came along, they think that's what you're supposed to do.
I mean, you two met in a bar, didn't you?
Probably.
Almost. I think we actually did.
Before
we did in New York.
Before
Yeah.
Grinder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because in New York, it's a pub that we used to drink in. It just didn't have seats, it just had a bar. So you stood at the bar and that was it. If you didn't want to stand at the bar, you had to stand over there.
Drinking was one of the things we did in there.
Drinking was one of the things we did seriously.
You mean you don't throw down a couple of no and lows whilst you can't stand at the bar? Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't know what they are.
No and low?
What's a no and low?
It's got either no alcohol or low alcohol.
Oh, piss off.
Sorry, no, not in my world. Never heard of it.
Never heard of that.
So no and low and no queuing.
Yeah. Although I could tell you another story, but it'd be for another time, and I bought non-alcoholic wine by mistake. I mean, crikey, that was a shock. Anyway, so we're standing in this bar. I was with a mate of mine with some guys from TalkSport were coming over. And there was only one particular, it was a very busy pub, big pub. And it started to fill up and it started to get a bit busy. And this guy, who was the only one, there was about 5 bartenders behind the bar, but this one particular guy said, "You can't stand there." And we said, "Why not?" He said, "You can only stand there if you're ordering a drink." I said, "Well, I am ordering a drink. Can I have a drink, please?" So he had to give us another drink. He said, "Now you have to go." I said, "No." I said, "This is where I'm standing." He said, "You're not letting anybody through." I said, "If somebody wants to come through, they can go behind me or they can come between us. It's not a problem.
Do
I'm
what we
standing
used
at the
to
bar."
do, which was shout the order over someone's shoulder.
Yeah, right.
And they would pass it over somebody.
But they've got this ludicrous thing. There was another pub that I used to go to near the old office back in sort of Waterloo. And they had tables in the middle of the bar with stools, right?
I think they call them a poseur.
Do they?
Yes.
Well, the guy behind the bar was a poseur as well,
Yes.
because I grabbed, at one point, I was standing at the bar, and I grabbed one of the chairs over and sat down at the bar. And he said, "You can't do that. That's why there are no chairs at the bar."
But that's the
I
disgrace.
I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, because you're stopping everybody from coming to the bar." The place was empty, right? I said, "Well, there's nobody here." Yeah. I said, "If somebody comes in and wants to get to the bar, I'll move. But I just like to sit at the bar. I like being at the bar. What's wrong with that?" I mean,
I like a bar.
It's a creeping trend, is all I'm saying.
Well, so they're now telling you can't stand at the bar. Standing at the bar is the thing of the pub.
Yeah, exactly.
I like to stand at the bar.
You
I
had
like
the
to stand
public
and drink.
bar.
Me too.
If you wanted to sit down, you went into the saloon.
Yes, exactly, where all the women were.
Yes.
Sorry. I mean, these are long time ago
Yes,
days,
it was a
of
long
course.
time ago.
The public bar was for men to swear in.
Swear in
not-
and stand at bars,
and stand at
maybe
bars.
even sit at
But,
them.
I don't care who's at the bar, obviously, but I just want to be able to stand there.
I'm so old I can remember public and saloon bars, and you literally could see a social difference.
Yes.
In the saloon bar would be men in jackets and ties, and in the public bar would be blokes with flat caps
And overalls.
And overalls. Yeah.
Workmen.
Workmen.
Yeah.
Yes,
but you
we used to have workmen.
But everybody
when
could,
we had workmen.
everybody could stand at the bloody bar.
Yeah, exactly.
It's outrageous.
It's nonsense, isn't it?
outrageous.
And it's very much a new thing, I would say.
I mean, I think that whole queuing at a bar,
I know.
it's a free-for-all. You
It's
you
ridiculous.
either know how
Yeah,
to get served
exactly.
at a bar
Well,
or you don't.
When I first started going to pubs when I was about 15, right, basically you had to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
And it's not easy when
rite
you're
of
only
passage.
15. You look about 12.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of reasons why pubs are closing in their droves, and it's really, really sad. Thousands and thousands. But one reason might be that some of them are just forgetting what they're supposed to be.
Which is serve
you
a
shouldn't be
beer.
banning people from standing at the bloody bar.
It's ridiculous.
should you?
It's totally mad.
Well, I mean, the other problem is that, a lot of the youth are all on the no and lows now.
Yes, they are.
Not the same margins.
It's really not.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Kevin.
Yeah, I want to talk about middle-class mothers in Chelsea tractors collecting their kids from school. I've had the misfortune, my last house down in Belsize Park was literally next door to a little private girls' school, underage girls' school. And they were 5 to 11 years old or something. And so we had a drive where our car would be in there, and these mothers would come up, park their Chelsea tractor, their four-wheelers in front of the drive, and then just wander. And I go, excuse me, I'm just about to move my car. Would you mind moving your car? I'll be back in 5 minutes. It's but they wouldn't be back in 5. They'd be back in about 20 minutes.
Yes.
And it's like, no, why don't you? You're not going to be back in 5 minutes. You're going to move now.
Yeah.
You go, I can't. I'm just getting my kid. I said, well, look, put it this way. If you don't move, I'll phone the police. Oh, you people! And they'd be furious. I'm now up in Hampstead near another quite famous private-ish school, and they park at the chucking out time all the way down both sides of the roads. So, and then they're constantly sort of trying to back into small spaces, not quite making it. So basically, the rest of the traffic can't get anywhere. There's a terrible traffic jam every single afternoon around about 4 o'clock because these people think that they have the right to override everybody else's needs because they're picking up little Johnny from school.
I think the main way to solve this is you need to move out of the posh areas you keep living in, Kev.
Yeah.
So this school is where Michael McIntyre, whose kid goes there, the famous comedian. I shouldn't really laugh at this, but he goes down there in his big flash Range Rover or something to pick up his kid, and he's standing like like as you do waiting for this, look at my car, listen to me, and some guy comes up with a knife.
I remember that story.
It says, "Give me your watch."
I remember that.
Didn't they?
He got mugged.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is where you get mugged in
And it was
places
like a 50 grand watch.
You do. I mean, these nice middle-class areas, they're a hotbed of mugging crime.
Because if you want to find nice watches, that's where you go.
But it's
you don't go to Shoreditch, do you?
Yeah. No, but
you would go to Shoreditch.
Yeah, you would these days.
Now you would.
I suppose. Yeah,
But these
maybe
parents,
a bit further out, Clapton.
These middle-class parents of kids at school, they're so entitled. They think that their requirement to pick up their kid overrides everybody else.
The minute you receive the keys to a Range Rover, don't you just become an ocean-going?
Generally speaking.
Yes, you do. Yes,
Generally
you do.
speaking.
I can confirm that.
Yeah, because you've joined a sort of an army.
Yeah. But there are more four-wheel drive vehicles in the centre of towns than there are in the countryside.
To be fair, you do need them now because of all the potholes.
Yes.
Because if you don't have a 4x4, you're going to get your tyres burst.
I live in the middle of a wood.
Yeah.
So I have a 4x4.
Yes.
Right? But it's a really old one.
But it's actually proper.
Down a dirt track. I live in, what is essentially a garden shed.
Yeah.
It's a bit drafty.
Yeah.
But the only way back and forth at certain times of the year is in a 4x4.
Is that right?
But I didn't have one when I lived in London.
Well, the other thing is when we all went to school, we walked. We didn't have parents picking us up in cars.
I suppose it's quite dangerous. I mean, I got some sympathy for that, but
what is?
Well, I don't know. Well, for kids,
it's not dangerous. No, it's not. It's not dangerous.
What was that?
What's that?
It's dangerous in here. There's things falling off.
Things falling everywhere.
I don't know what that
now,
was.
listen, I want to move on.
All right.
And I feel like with this grump, I am doing people a public service, right?
Yes.
Because it's now become, I've really tuned into it and it's everywhere. And it is people referring to themselves in the third person.
I've got to say, Kevin likes this.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying that.
Exactly.
Kevin is enjoying
Kevin,
this.
I mean,
that's also a pretty good sign.
Mark finds this a little annoying.
Mark
it's a good can get a little grumpy.
It's a good sign that you may have a Range Rover.
Well, yes, there is that. But I also think, look, if you are one of these people that do this, I need to make you aware that you are one of two things, right? You're either a moron, or a sociopath, or maybe both,
or an actor.
Oh,
actors do it a lot, don't they?
But they spend a lot of time out of themselves, don't they? So it's very difficult for them to get back in.
Yes, I'm trying to be Kevin.
Yes,
something.
Yeah, I can't really understand what Mark's supposed to do here.
Yes, right.
Well, I tell you what, if he turns up, we'll ask him, shall we?
Yes.
I mean...
It is irritating.
Oh, God. Honestly, it's one of the
Do you
things...
find it's happening a lot more?
It's happening a lot more. And it's that thing I think it is down to, this thing where, you know, we've talked a little bit on this show before about we live in a world where people don't want to take responsibility. So by separating yourself out,
Yes.
by going, it's not a Mark thing,
Right.
I no longer have to take responsibility for that thing because it's this weird third person that I'm unrelated to.
I think it's more narcissism.
Well,
it's making yourself seem important.
Yes.
That's what I think it is.
Do you know who does it a bit, actually? Is Meghan Markle does it, doesn't she?
Well, of course
she talks about Meghan all the time.
Yeah, that's
You know.
right.
But it is
Or
to do
Meghan
with
Sussex.
social media. It's that, you know, it's that narcissistic thing. The same person who, I don't know, might film themselves going to work.
Yes.
They think they're so bloody interesting.
Yeah. And they're really not.
No.
They're really not
They're
interesting.
really not.
Nothing that they do is interesting.
But, I mean, whereas I find Mike interesting, I find Kev interesting, but if...
What about
Mike,
Mark? Do you find
not so
Mark
much.
interesting?
Not so much.
Okay.
Not so
I
much.
think you're quite
but
interesting.
But if Mike
think?
thought Mike was interesting, I might cease to think Mike was interesting.
Yes. Well, you can always tell, can't you, with people who think they're interesting.
But
Right?
They talk.
They spend an awful lot of time talking about themselves.
Do you remember many years ago, going back once again to the early days of social media, I remember seeing this Facebook thing. I mean, this is like 20, 25 years ago. Whenever.
Do tell us what that's about.
But do you
Kev.
remember?
Facebook
I remember thinking, these people saying, here's me and my family, you know, we went to the seaside, or we went to this restaurant. And I remember thinking, why do you think that's interesting to other people? But it seems now so ingrained in our culture.
But even
people
worse
don't question
than
it
that.
anymore, do they?
Or even worse than that, going right back to Friends Reunited.
Oh,
yeah.
When I left school, they didn't want to see me,
No.
and I didn't want to see them ever again.
Exactly right.
You know.
And because you can tell that by not knowing any of them anymore.
Yeah.
And
well,
you don't want to find them, really.
I had a
do you?
brilliant idea for a social media site that I think would have made money. I still might get it going. It was Friends Disunited.
Yes.
And we would provide a service whereby you could split up from all your friends.
Yeah.
Because you don't like them much.
Do you know what there's another trend at the moment, which is photographing yourself on the loo.
What?
On the toilet.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know. But they would definitely go, here's Mark
That's
having
a
a
shit
poo.
idea.
Oh.
Mark's having a
Very
poo.
good. That's ridiculous.
Well, you know, I certainly don't want it. But it is this idea that people find themselves so interesting that they think, if I post on Facebook the meal that I'm having with my wife, it'll be really fascinating for everyone. No, it won't. No, it won't.
But deep down, we know that they're not pleased with themselves. They're very, very
they're
unhappy, insecure
people.
But they're trying to
frightened
tell you
people.
that their life is better than yours.
Yes.
That's what they're trying
Because
to say.
they know deep down
It's
is
not.
But that's what this Instagram thing's all about. I mean, I saw it for the first and only time. I've never seen it since. But last time I was in New York, which was a few years ago, and we were walking down. There's a, you might remember it. We used to go there. I think it's called Rolf's. It's a German restaurant down on sort of 2nd Avenue. Really nice place, but it's very kind of ornate outside.
Oh, yeah, I know. I remember
And you
it.
go inside, and it's like a sort of inside of a Christmas cake or something.
Yeah,
it's
it's
very,
nice, it's
but
nice,
really
yeah.
good food. But suddenly I was aware of the fact that there was a lot of people standing kind of in the middle of the road, and all these people taking selfies with the building behind them when the traffic was stopped at a red light. And there was about 25 of them. And they were all unrelated, and they were all just standing there taking a picture of themselves in front of this restaurant. Really weird.
But it goes back to
Really
your
like it.
TikTok story about people filming their working days.
Yeah.
It's social media has magnified our self-obsession to the point we all think we're the big story.
Right.
Do you think the person who, I would probably say at Apple, invented the ability to turn the camera around on yourself is still pleased with themselves? Or do they sit there going, Jeff, you shouldn't have done this, Jeff.
You've unleashed a
Jeff,
beast.
You've unleashed a beast, Jeff. You're a terrible person.
Because what it
Jeff.
was it's a bit like self-publishing, isn't it? You know, people who used to write books for a living used to hate other people who wanted to write books for a living. Because they'd always ask them, you know, I'm thinking of writing a book.
I think I've got a book in me.
I think I've got a book in me.
Keep it there.
You know, then you know, because most authors I know who write, you know, proper books are tortured souls.
Yes.
And it takes them an awfully long time to write anything, and they can't stand it when some Burke turns up and goes, "Oh, I've written a book. Could you show it to your agent for me?"
Mark's
And they
written a
go,
book.
Yeah.
Mark's written a book.
Mark, has Mark written a book?
Yeah.
Does Mark like it?
No. Mark doesn't.
But that's the true.
That's why
That's
he's
the
never
true
shown
author
it to anybody.
But it's the thing. So now suddenly everybody thought, oh, I can be the centre of attention. I can be the person in the picture instead of the person in the paper. Because it used to be quite hard to get in the paper unless you did something really horrible.
Exactly.
Whereas now they can
Trust me, I know.
self-publish everything that they do in their life, which is inevitably tedious.
It is that time of year, Mike.
Yes.
Now, your one, I'm not... Is there such a thing as a...
Stupid Easter egg.
Yeah, there is.
Yes.
It's a good one. This.
I keep hearing
It's
adverts.
chocolate. What's stupid about chocolate?
I'm going to take you back to your childhood when, you got an Easter egg.
Long time ago.
One Easter egg you'd get,
Yeah.
and it was basically an egg made of chocolate with nothing inside it.
Well, it was invariably Cadbury's.
And you'd crack it with your fist and you'd eat it, over the course of the Easter
The
Sunday.
next 10 minutes.
Or something like that, yeah. But now they're making Easter eggs out of cheese.
What?
They're making Easter eggs out of cheese.
Is that what you mean? I thought.
Well,
hold on a
it's the whole gamut.
I've heard about this.
They make Easter eggs out
Who's
of...
that for?
out
Because
of-
it's not for lactose intolerance people.
Certainly not dairy.
Dairy?
That was the last show. Sorry. But now you can't just buy an Easter
What
egg.
kind of milk do you want in your egg?
You can't just buy an Easter egg.
I'll have an oat milk.
Yeah,
Oat milk Easter egg.
I'll have an oat
There
milk.
probably is an oat milk
Cadbury's
Easter egg.
Whisper.
There probably is an oat milk. I've been hearing adverts actually for some of these Easter eggs, right? And basically, where are we? I think they're talking about making a massive, quality street. Just a massive quality street, sort of as an egg.
What would you have, though? Which quality
It would have
street
to be
would
the
you...
purple one, wouldn't it?
Would it?
The purple one with the nut inside.
I'll go for the
Brazil nut. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like that one.
But no, what I'm saying,
I don't like
fudge.
I don't like
Fudge.
nuts.
all I'm saying
I wanna
is
pack
the
some
Easter
fudge
egg,
in.
the Easter egg business has gone insane.
Yeah.
You can't just get an ordinary Easter egg. And also, you've got cars in them now. You've got dolls
Cars?
inside.
What, like real cars?
No, toy cars.
The Maserati egg?
No, that's a proper. There probably is one. You can get Maserati sunglasses.
So would you have an entire production line full of fudge packers putting the fudge into the...
Well,
But I tell you what, so Cadbury's, right, not suffice with sort of thing. I saw this thing the other day. I think it's an app where you can send someone a virtual egg.
Oh, come on.
Right?
yeah.
What's the point in that?
But that's exactly what I'm saying. The whole
You
business
send them a
has gone-
virtual egg and they can kind of go, they then have to, it's a virtual Easter egg hunt and they have to go around their area, I think, and you find it.
Did you say Easter egg hunt?
Yes.
It's the way you said it, I think, that came out funny.
As opposed to Mike.
Yes, exactly.
Did you say
Don't
Easter
that.
egg hunt?
Now, here we
yes,
go.
I
Look.
said Easter egg.
Now, but look at these. These are some of them. I've got one here.
Go on. What's this one? He
Low
finally found it on his
Low
phone.
and no, I haven't actually. It's
Low and no?
No, it hasn't done it. No, but there's ridiculous.
Hold on. There was an attempt by Mike Graham there to use technology.
Well,
Didn't
because
happen.
it said it was going to show me Easter eggs. It's not showing me Easter eggs. So anyway, never mind.
Yeah.
But I mean, what I'm saying is it's just very complicated now. You can't, and of course they put them on display now from about, I think pre-Christmas was the first Easter egg display.
Oh, yeah, you
Yeah, so you don't even get Christmas out of the way
pre-Christmas.
before they're already selling Easter eggs.
Ridiculous.
Which is
Absolutely.
ridiculous.
Well, yeah, they take out the Christmas decorations and put in the Easter egg.
No, but I saw in some shops, actually, the Easter display was up before the Christmas one was down.
Really?
Yeah.
I quite like that. I mean, look, I can eat chocolate
They're doing the resurrection before the birth.
until I die.
They're
So,
literally doing the resurrection before the birth.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
know, if you're Christian,
as we
that's-
know.
and that's
As we
what-
know.
The spirit of Easter has been ruined.
Could you? Your parking ticket's popping up again.
No, is it? Oh, sorry.
Excellent. So, Kev, virtue signalling Tesla owners. I mean, aren't they all?
Yeah, so this is the story of the Tesla car, which, of course, every single middle-class virtue signaller went out and bought because they were going to save the planet. It's electric.
It's hilarious.
And actually, if you think about it...
When they're not
it's
busy
pretty
parking
much-
outside Kev's home.
Yeah, seriously, a lot of Teslas there.
Yeah.
If you think about it, the Tesla is the first American car that has really taken hold of the European market.
Yeah, that people actually wanted to buy.
You know, old Donald Trump going, I'm going to put tariffs on American cars. You want to buy them and they're going to tariff.
No,
Donald, nobody wants to buy American cars, so good luck with that.
Well,
But
the steering wheel's on the wrong side for a start.
yeah, but they did. Well, you can get them for the British market.
Can you?
But
Still don't want them.
Teslas broke the mold, and people started buying them because they were going to save the planet. Elon Musk's brilliant innovation. And then they found out, and then Elon became a big Donald Trump supporter, a MAGA supporter, and, you know, is now in charge of Doge, taking a chainsaw through all of the government departments, very, very right-wing and all that. So all these middle-class lefties who wanted to save the planet are now racked with guilt that they had put money into Elon Musk's pocket.
Yes, they started putting...
that's my point. They put stickers on that now say, I bought this before we knew that Elon Musk was crazy.
Yeah.
Whereas it's pathetic.
It is pathetic.
The sticker they should be
car?
putting on their car is the Mike Graham button.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Is available to all listeners of the Mike Graham breakfast.
The home of common sense.
Yeah. Home of common
well,
sense.
actually, it's not available to all of them because we've run out again.
Well, you're quite right.
So
William.
popular.
If I put your sticker on the bumper of my car, I'm going to then get another sticker put on the other side. I put that sticker on before I knew Mike Graham was crazy.
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah,
no, that'd be good. I'd like that.
Oh, some people have said that, you know, be
like
careful.
that.
Be careful if you put a Mike Graham sticker on your car because it might get vandalised.
Yeah.
You know, by the lefties, because you know what they're doing in America. They're burning Teslas. They're keying them. They're firebombing.
I mean, see, the thing is with American cars, like, you know, when you're in America, you can drive an American car. So if you drove a Mustang,
which
or
I
a
did,
Corvette,
which I did
in America, that's okay. You drive it here, you look like you might take people against their own will.
Yes, yes, it doesn't look right. It doesn't.
I'm sticking with electric vehicles. Electric scooters.
Oh God!
God save humanity.
They're growing
from the
in number,
electric scooter.
Yeah.
Well, now they leave them on the side of the road. You can, like a bicycle used to be. You can pick one of these up and go and steal phones.
Yes, there's loads of them now as well. There's all sorts of different makes that you can hire, aren't there?
But what I did see is you're not allowed to take them on. You can't take an electric scooter or a unicycle
on the tube.
On the tube.
Yeah.
Why would you be on the tube on a unicycle unless you were busking?
Right.
Right.
Well, I suppose if you lived somewhere where you lived a long way from the tube, you might scoot
think
into
the electric
tube.
scooter's not going to make it there.
But the thing is, if it's a rented one, why don't you just leave it where it is and rent a different one when you get off at the other end?
So, but you're not allowed on the pavement with them.
No.
And you are not. And it is a motorised vehicle, but it doesn't have to be registered to be on the road.
No.
And it seems to be the preferred mode of transport for the phone thief.
Yes. Well, the mopeds more than the scooters actually, but the scooters I'm sure as well. The problem is that if you can buy a scooter, for example, but you're not allowed to ride it on the road. But you can only by law. I know a bit about this because we've been doing it a lot. By law, you can only ride the rented ones, right? Because they've got a speed limitation on them. But if you buy a private one, these things can do 50 miles an hour. I had a guy go past me once. You didn't hear him, but he suddenly went 50 miles an hour.
But all of these things, whether it is the electric scooter or the line bike. Now, I know this is a very London-centric thing, but what happens is nice people come here to spend their euros and their dollars.
You mean?
Yes, those people.
Yeah.
And they assume that this is part of the London experience.
Yes.
The
getting
London
run over
fairground.
by a line bike.
Beaten up, killed.
They don't realise that there is a bloke in a tipper truck who's thinking, electric scooter?
Yeah.
You know, and they don't publish those figures.
No, of course not. They're actually a menace because not only are they left on pavements, because around near where I live, there's a few sort of scooter parks where you can park the scooter and somebody comes every now and again and scoops them up, puts them in the back of a van and takes them away. But quite often they're just left literally in the middle of the pavement.
Well, yeah, then you get the dominoes players who come and kick the first one, so they all go down.
Yeah.
So down with electric scooters.
Definitely.
And that is all for this week. Thank you to Mike and Kev.